think we have 42 attendees already. I think we gave enough head start to everyone, so I believe we can start. Let me just do the quick intro, Lars, if you allow me. My name is Bartosz Antoniak. I'm head of marketing at Genius Yield and Genius X, our sister project. Today, as you all know, we're going to run How to Become a Smart Order Router Operator Workshop by Dr. Lars, Genius Yield's CTO. The workshop is planned to last for about 45 minutes, more or less. And after that, we're going to have around 10-15 minutes of Q&A session. Kind request from my side, let's please focus on questions around SORs, because this is obviously the topic of today's workshop. If you would like to ask more general questions about Genius Yield project as such, about launch of our DEX, I would like to invite you to Let's Talk Cardano session that will happen tomorrow, organized by Cardano Foundation. The session starts at 6 p.m. UTC, and it will be also a live session, and there will be also a space. There is a space planned for questions and answers, and both Dr. Lars and Marvin Burton, our CSO, will be happy to answer your questions. And of course, last but not least, please make sure to follow Genius Yield channels on X, on Telegram, on Discord, to stay up to date with all recent announcements and updates around our project, because we have a lot of great things in the pipeline. We'll be announcing them still this week, and also in January. I think that's all. Lars, I'm giving you the floor.
Thank you very much, Bart. Maybe, if possible, could you make Saurabh and Valentino panelists as well, if that's possible?
Sure. Let me find them.
Because two of my colleagues at Genius Yield, Saurabh and Valentino, also are in this call, and they actually wrote the smart order router prototype that we are talking about today. So I think it would make sense if they could also say something.
Yes, I added already Saurabh, and
okay.
I'm adding.
Maybe in the meantime, while you try, I can just start.
Of course.
And okay, so let me share my screen. It's disabled. Can you allow screen sharing, please? I think. Okay, hi, Valentino is on stage. That's good.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Valentino.
Lars, I will just simply give you a role of a host of this webinar. Yeah, I think it will be the easiest.
Okay. I just okay, then I have to. Okay, I think I made. Okay, Saurabh is now also panelist. And hi, Saurabh.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Saurabh. Hey, Valentino.
Hi, Bart. Hi, Valen.
Okay, let me start my screen. Right, and I mean, feel free to interrupt me if there are any questions coming up in the chat or so. I don't mind being interrupted, or if anything else is wrong.
We can also collect questions on our chat, so we can address them.
Yes.
After the presentation ends, after the workshop ends.
Of course, but sometimes it makes sense to answer something immediately. So yeah, you will be the judge.
Yep.
Right. Zoom, somehow there are always too many windows open. But anyway, people can see my. Oh, now I pushed the button. People can see my screen?
Yes, I can, definitely.
It's a GitHub repo, yes.
Yes, let me. So today the plan is to talk about our smart order routers and to actually demonstrate how to launch one. And if we have time, also to briefly demonstrate how you could implement your own strategies. So maybe just briefly, I mean, I assume most of the people in this webinar already know, but Genius Yield recently, we launched our DEX, and it's fully decentralized and permissionless. In particular, everybody, without necessarily having to interact with our UI, can interact with our DEX, so open orders, close orders, fill orders. And we also rely on this crucially to make matches. So if people place limit orders, then somebody has to match those limit orders. So a sell order against a buy order, or something more complicated like several sell orders against several buy orders. And our idea, or the way it works, is that this is the job of the so-called smart order routers, or SORs briefly. And we open sourced the code for one such SOR some weeks or even months ago. And right, and today in this workshop, I want to demonstrate how to run one such thing on the testnet. Of course, with live demos, there's always a risk that something goes wrong, but I hope nothing will. So the demo in question, the repo in question is on GitHub. It's Genius Yield smart-order-router. And in principle, this webinar wouldn't even be necessary because there's a very nice README, very thorough. And there are actually several ways to get started. And just yesterday, one of my colleagues asked me to make sure to mention in this webinar that maybe the easiest way is to get started with Docker. And I think if you use Docker Compose, then it's even, I'm not sure that, right. So there's with Docker itself, and with Docker, and somewhere there is this one. This is probably the shortest way to get started. So you, but there are various ways, and today I won't use this short way, because then this webinar would be very short. I just would have to type in 3 lines. So I want to compile from scratch, because then if I get time to modify the code a bit, then it's easier to start from there. And I'm not that familiar with Docker. But if you go through the README, so there are several different ways, and everything I think is explained very well. So let me just, sorry, it's so long, I always lose my way. Here, building and running, so using Docker, locally building, what about config? Right, so let's start there. So let me switch to my console. And let me also make this bigger. This is the wrong. Okay, this looks good. So the first step is, sorry. So the first step is there is this. So after you clone the repo, so I'm now, the repo level is this one, and I'm now in the subfolder config files. So if I list, so the ones with .lars there, they are not there when you clone it. So that was me playing around with it to preparing for this demo. So the first decision you need to make is how to interact with the blockchain. I mean, which interface to use. So out of the box, 3 options are supported. Blockfrost, Maestro, and Kupo. So Blockfrost and Maestro are infrastructure providers. I'm sure most of you are familiar with them. So they just basically are services that allow you with API calls to interact with the blockchain. So query the blockchain and also submit transactions. For this thing, I want to use Maestro. And in order to use that, you need an API key. And there are several. I'm not sure whether Maestro already has a paid tier, but Blockfrost at least has a free tier and paid tiers. And the restriction of the free tier is just the number of API calls you can make on a day. So both of those allow you to get started for free. Kupo is, assuming you run a local node, I mean a Cardano node, and then Kupo is a lightweight chain indexer sitting in front of it. So if you use this Docker Compose way that's also bundled with the repo, then that also includes a local node and Kupo, so you don't have to manually install anything. Right, and if we look at this config file, so if I now make sure to open the right one, so Atlas config maestro JSON, then the most important thing you have to fill in is this Maestro token here. So that's the API key you get when you register with Maestro. Blockforce works very similar, then it's just a Blockforce token, not a Maestro token. And this here is the network you connect to. So today we use the pre-prod testnet. Of course, you could also use the mainnet. This is logging configuration. So this means it's logging just to standard error on the console, and then, I mean, logging severity, verbosity, the usual stuff. So I don't want to touch any of that, but it's also explained in the README what else you can do here. And so I don't want to show you my Maestro token. That's why I have this Atlas config Maestro last. So let me just overwrite the config Maestro last Atlas config Maestro JSON. So now, I mean, the only difference is that there's now my API token in the right file. And if we check there, the other thing is this bot config JSON. So that is more interesting. So, I mean, the bot, the way it works, it basically has some money. It should never lose money, but nevertheless, it needs some to start with just for technical Cardano reasons. So, for example, you need collateral, and in order to pay for it, I mean, you will get the money back, the transaction fees, but nevertheless, the way Cardano works, you basically need at least this collateral input. So you need some ADA. And you in particular need a signing key. And this is the file where that is. Then I think basically almost everything else here is configuration of the DEX. And the values here are all also in the README, both for the pre-prod testnet and for the mainnet. So these are just configurations for the DEX. And this is the scripts that the DEX uses. So our DEX is very, I mean, we try to keep it simple because it's almost easier to reason about simple things. So it only needs 2 smart contracts, basically one minting policy, and this is the code for the partial order validator. And this repo includes those in compiled form. And this is the paths to it. So nothing has to be changed here. And this is now the bot configuration. That's the name of the strategy we want to use. Out of the box, when you clone it, this one, there's only one, and this is called one sell too many buy, and that's supported. This is how long I think microseconds, so 40 seconds, how long the bot waits before it iterates. And then some, I mean, it will match at most 5 orders in one transaction. Have at most, submit at most 4 transactions per iteration. It will randomize. And this is which token pair you're going for. I mean, of course, in traditional exchange, normally you have something like a currency and a commodity. So currency is US dollar, for example, the commodity is something like crude oil. Of course, on a blockchain, that doesn't really make sense. All tokens are more or less equal. Nevertheless, the bot makes this distinction, but it's more or less arbitrary. But the normal case, I mean, at least in the beginning, Genius Yield DEX only has ADA trading pairs. We will lift that restriction later, but at the moment, that is what it is. So at the moment, it makes sense to, as currency asset, have Loveless. And commodity asset, whatever trading pair you want to use. Now, with this live demo, I was a bit worried if I use something like the test gens token here, because on the testnet also other SORs may be active. Then maybe somebody snatches matches from me and interferes with it and with this demo. So I think it's best to use some asset here that no other bot is aware of. So we could either mint our own asset or use some that I happen to have in my wallet. So let me see. So let me go to the browser. For this demo, I want to use Nami Wallet. Let me just go to, and I have like two different ones, so I can simulate two users. Let me just pick an arbitrary token that I happen to have. This one I played with yesterday. Let's see. Whatever, this U-bot, I mean, that's a stupid one, but anyway. Let me just click on that. So I need the minting policy. Let me just copy paste that. And let me put this in here. And I need the token name in hex. So unfortunately, Hubert is not hex. So what I, for example, can do is go to Cardano scan. Must just make sure that I'm on testnet. I can paste this minting policy, and then I should get bigger. Okay, right. So here's the asset name. Actually, I thought there was. So somehow I thought that Cardano scan also displayed the asset name in hex, but that's fine. What's the quickest way? Just a second. Dash.
By the way, I have pasted the hex in the chat.
Okay. In the chat, just let me see. Chat. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, SOR. Anyway, normally, of course, you know this. So, I mean, this is just some reason. Okay. Sorry. Sorry about that. Right. Okay, so that's that. Now I have basically configured the token, so I will go for this asset pair. Right. So, and that's almost it. Now I just need a signing key and some money at that at the address corresponding to that key. So I mean, I can generate that from scratch. Let me just check the time. Maybe it's better if I use the one I already prepared, just for time reasons that don't run out of time. Let me just see. If I go up one level, then sorry, Zoom windows are always the way. So I have these files here: SOR test S key, SOR test V key, and SOR test preprod address. And if I just, so those I prepared before. If you don't know how to create your own signing key and get the address and so on, that's also explained in the README. So I just want to check this address on Cardano scan quickly, just so that you see what's there already, because I played around with it, as I said. So at the moment, there are 506 data there and 8 transactions. Okay, and in particular, there is some collateral already. So let me just show this. Sorry. If I go back here and if I split my screen and if I open this one, the other one that I played with. So let me just copy this. And optionally in this file, you can also configure collateral. So let me copy that. And I used a different token there when I played around. So let us keep this Uber token. Okay, and that is already it. So now I can start this bot. So I have now told, I configure the bot key, the file name of the bot key. Optionally, the collateral UTXO. I think there are 5 ADA there. This I all didn't touch. And then I just configured what pair to go for. So now I think that's already it. Now I can actually start it, and it's easy to start. I can do just make order bot. And now because we use Maestro, it's Maestro. There are 2 other make variants to start it. So if I use that, then hopefully I now didn't make a mistake with the configurations. This should start and work. It just compiles because I played around with it. Of course, when you do that the first time, if you compile from scratch, that will take a while because it uses all these Plutus libraries, and they are quite, notoriously take a long time to build. So the first time it might take more than an hour to build it. But then if you just modify the code, it will be fine. Right. So this, I think, let me just, so this is running now already. So it gave some information here on the configuration, and now it's basically running. So it scans the order book and tries to match orders. But at the moment, it doesn't find any because there are no open orders with this weird token. Right, now the technical problem for this demo is how do we create orders? Of course, Genius Yield DEX has a very pretty UI, but I can't use that because at the moment the list of supported token pairs is basically hard-coded. Not really hard-coded, but it's fixed. So I can't just come with this UBOT token and use it. Luckily, we have an internal demo UI that basically has more or less all the functionality of the DEX available with, it's like an alternative UI. Very ugly, but quite comprehensive. So I can use that to place orders. It has the same effect as if you use the UI, but now I can use arbitrary tokens. And so let's do that. So here's order action. And let me just check, remind myself again, this Uber token, I think I had, was it? Okay, I have like 200 something. So let me say this user wants to sell 100 of these tokens. Let me just copy the policy again. Right. So I want to sell 100. So if you use the real UI, it's not that low level. You just click on the token you want to use. So this has nothing to do with smart routers. That's just for me to be able to do the demo. Let's say, I want to sell it for ADA. And for simplicity's sake, let's assume a price of 1 Uber token for ADA. So then the price is 100 million loveless. So the unit here is loveless. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in this demo UI, if you use loveless, you can leave the currency symbol and token name empty. So I can just place this order. And hopefully, okay, now Nami asked me to sign. So these are basically transaction fees and network deposit, min deposits, and so on. And there's this Hubert asset 101 because there's some fees to pay for placing the order. Okay, so I sign. And that should now be fine. So now let me switch to the second wallet that I had here, the second test wallet. We just check whether that has Hubert tokens already. It does. It has 1,000 now. So maybe keep note. So the one that sold had 224, I think, and this one has 1,000 already. So okay, fine. So let's say this one wants to buy. I don't know, let's say 110. Oh no, let's keep it. Let's say it wants to buy 50. So this one will now place a buy order. So the offered amount is in ADA now. So, and it wants to buy 50 of these UBER tokens. I just had still in my clipboard the currency symbol. So that's UBERT. Right. And let's say, I mean, for the order bot to be able to, I mean, for the SOR to be able to make a match, as I said before, the order bot will never lose money. So there must be some arbitrage for the bot, and it must be more than the fee. So normally, of course, it doesn't have to be much, but now just make it obvious. So let's offer to pay 60 ADA for the 50 tokens. Remember the price on the sell order was 1 ADA per token. So if I now offer to pay 60 for 50, that should be more than enough to make the bot happy. So that's 60, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 60 million loveless. Currency name token symbol I can leave open. So now sign this. And now let me switch back to the bot. And now we just need some patience, because as we saw from the config file, the bot always needs or is configured to run one iteration every 40 seconds. And then, of course, it might also take a while until the orders that are just placed end up on the DEX. As you know, there's a new block on Cardano on average every 20 seconds, but it's just an average. So sometimes it can also take longer. So we just need to be a bit patient, but actually now it already found it. So, I mean, this is a bit hard to read, but here it was querying the address. And this here means it found one buy order, one sell order for this asset pair we are interested in. And then here it built one match. So it found one match. None of them are losing money. And here it says it submitted this order. So now if we check our NAMI wallets again. So this is the one with the buy order. Stupid Zoom windows are always getting in my way. Sorry. You could probably not see them when I screen share, right? But somehow they block my view. Sorry, let me do this again. So this is the one that bought. And he now has 1,050. So he got his order. And let's switch to the other one. I mean, we forgot, or I forgot to note how many ADA it had before. But it should now have 50 less of these UBER. Yeah, it has. Or 100 actually, because we haven't canceled the order. So 50 were filled now. So the order has been partially filled. But the rest of the sell order, the remaining 50 are still on the blockchain. And I can also now go to, to Cardano scan. So that was the bot address. And I haven't refreshed yet. So that's the state we saw before. 506 ADA, 8 transactions. So if I refresh now, so now at this address, it's 515 ADA, 9 transactions. And the last one, we look at the last one. So it was dealing in UBERT, and I think this is the bot address. So this is the sell order person. So my test one wallet. So it got paid the 50 ADA it asked for. I mean, it asked for 100 ADA for 100 tokens, 50 tokens for bought. So it got 50 ADA. Then this is the buyer. So he got 50 UBERT as he asked for. And the arbitrage, this is the bot. So the bot just made 8 ADA in this example. Okay, so it works. And yeah, I just demonstrated a successful trade. Now, maybe we don't have much time, but let's briefly look at the code. So this is still the config files. Great. Now let me see. Strategies. So the most interesting file, I mean, there's a lot in this code. There's a lot of infrastructure, of course, to allow the bot to make that happen. But in particular, there's the strategies file. And as I said, one strategy is supported in the repo out of the box. There's one cell too many, which will match one cell order against one or more buy orders. And the implementation, basically the logic is here, which is relatively complicated. I think part of why it's so complicated is also that this order bot was built for a previous version of our DEX before we went live, where we still had a concept of min-fill, where you couldn't arbitrarily partially fill orders, but somebody placing the order could specify a min-fill. So say you must, if you partially fill my order, you must fill it with at least so and so much, which made the bots more complicated. But we removed that, but I think the bots still have like remedies of that. So maybe at some point we can, or somebody, it's open source after all, can simplify this. But anyway, I thought I hopefully have time to briefly do a very simple strategy just to show you how that works. Because I mean, if obviously you can just go with this one and we just saw it works. But I mean, I think it's, I mean, our SORs are already quite popular. We have a thriving Discord channel, support channel for people that want to run their own SORs. And my colleagues tell me that people are very supportive there and very active. And we already have like, I don't know, 10 or 20 people that run their own bots. So, I mean, it's all free and you, of course, can run this version as I just demonstrated. But obviously, if it becomes popular and everybody is running the same strategy, then your chances of actually making a match, if so many people try the same at the same time, are relatively slim. So the idea is actually for people to come up with their own strategies that other people don't think of, to find niches that nobody yet occupies. So it will make sense to implement your own strategy. And that's actually very easy. So first is just boilerplate. So at the moment, so bot strategy is basically the various different strategies. So at the moment, there's just this one. So let me add one that I call simple. Let me just, sorry, here in the console. Just a REPL. Okay, right. So first I just gave it a name. So I want to introduce a new strategy that I call simple. Now I must implement from JSON and var instances for that, but I just copy paste what has been done for the existing one and do the obvious changes. And same here. I mean, this of course assumes that you know Haskell. But if you don't, I read on our SOR operator support channel just now before this workshop that people are already porting the bots into different languages. So I think there's a Java implementation already. So I mean, it's obviously not restricted to Haskell. It's just that we at Genius Yield believe that Haskell is like the perfect language for Cardano at least. So we write our software in Haskell, or at least our backend software. Right. But of course, the ideas apply language independent. Right now, some more boilerplate here, the supported strategies. I add this simple as well. And now, basically the actual implementation. Let's also call that simple. And I don't even want to look at this. Let me just copy the signature here. Sorry. Sorry, that's not the right, this one. I don't even want this parameter. So just getting order book. and match results. So of course, the types are important and you can explore them at your leisure. So basically, order book is just two lists, a list of set. I mean, this is specific to the pair you configured. So in our case, this Hubert token and ADA, and it contains two lists: lists of sell orders ordered by ascending price, so the cheapest sell order comes first, and a list of buy orders where the most expensive buy order comes first. And the match result is a list of fill instructions for us. So you can say, which can either be partial or complete fill. We can say, fill this order completely and this partially, so and so much. And in this simple strategy, I want to do the simple most possible thing, in my opinion, that makes sense, which is to basically take the cheapest sell order and match it against the most expensive buy order and fill it as much as possible. So, and I'm using GitHub Copilot, so AI everywhere. So there's already something which probably doesn't necessarily make sense. No, I think this is just, but at least the beginning is fine. Right, so this is the sell orders, the buy orders. So let me say case unorders. Is it unorders? I think orders. Yes. Unorders, buy orders of. So if I mean, if there is no sell order, no buy order, then there's nothing I can do. So this is the interesting case. So let me just in all other cases. Sorry, I don't do anything. Right, and in this case, it only makes sense. I mean, I could check the price. So I could say price of the sell order is less than the price of the buy order. And if not, then I don't do anything. Right, now I must just determine the volume. So I have a sell order, buy order, how much do I fill those? So the idea is as much as possible. So that depends on the volume of those. And the volume, if we look, so volume gives us a volume, and the volume is volume min, volume max. I think this volume min is irrelevant now, but that has to do with this min fill that I mentioned before. So we are interested in the volume max. So let's just say let VS volume max S. VB is volume max B. And I should also mention that the unit, I think, is the commodity token. So it's always a bit, we sell orders, buy orders, so the roles of the tokens is this way around, that way around. But I think the order book, this order book implementation automatically normalizes everything. So the price is like in the right direction so that you can compare the price of a sell order with the price of a buy order. And the volumes are also like in the same unit in commodity token, I think in this case. Right, and now I can just say case compare sell order, buy order of, and I think, right. So Copilot already does all the work for me. So if the volume of the sell order is less, but it's wrong, the wrong way around. So if the volume of the sell order is less, we must do a partial fill of the sell. No, it was right, of course. AI is smarter than I am, it seems. Right, so if the sell order is smaller than the buy order, then we want to completely fill the sell order and partially fill the buy order with the volume of the sell order. If it's the other way around, if the buy order is smaller, we completely fill the buy order and partially fill the sell order with the volume of the buy order, which is VB. So Copilot did make a mistake there. And if they happen to have the same volume, we completely fill both. So I think that should work. Sorry, just obviously forgot my Haskell. Right, let me just
Lars,
reload.
I have one doubt. Like you earlier mentioned that you wanted to match the best sell order with the best buy order. So is
Yes,
it that in this order book, the sell orders are sorted by price and likewise for the buy order so that when you're looking at the first element, they are the best ones?
yes, I think so. I did check that last night, and I think it's done the way you would hope it is. So the sell orders are
Yeah.
sorted by ascending price and the buy orders by descending price, I think. Maybe Valen can
Yeah.
comment on that, but what
Yeah,
now?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Ah.
I think people would be having that out, so I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I just made like one technical mistake. I could give several matches here, and a match itself is a list. So that's why it's a list of lists. So that's wrong, I think. And I think this is the wrong way around. So it's like was before. The order comes first, I think. Oh yeah, and that's because I forgot volume there. Yes, so now it compiles. I just because I'm always like a skeptical person, just to make sure it takes an effect. I mean, this is now, I mean, you wouldn't do that in production, but let me just import debug trace. I just want to do something visible because otherwise it looks exactly, I mean, if you try it out, it would look exactly as before. I just want some visual proof that this is actually doing something. So let me just add some trace statement here. I mean, you wouldn't do it like that. You would use the built-in logging mechanism, but just for my entertainment. Let's do the price of S, the
Maybe
price
Lars,
of,
one thing that we
yes,
can mention
yes,
for people that want to implement their own strategies.
yes,
So earlier you added this strategy to the all the strategies list,
yes,
and we have a good test suite written with quick check that is testing a lot of properties that you can run with command run tests, and that is
okay.
automatically running against your strategy once you add it to that list.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for that. Why is it complaining now? Ah, yeah. Great. I just forgot the dollar there, I think. Okay. But that's probably also mentioned, what you just said, Valen, is probably also mentioned in the README, right? The test suite.
Yes.
Great. So, I mean, of course, in the README, that's much more comprehensive than what I'm telling you now. Right, the last thing here. So now I just changed this to simple. Okay, that should do it, I think. So let's stop the bot and restart it. And now, I mean, we are running out of time, but I think there should be time for this demo. So we still have the, actually I mean, this is, as I said, a horrible UI. It's just for internal testing purposes. But let me just search for Hubert. And so there's still, oh no, sorry, that's the balance. I must look here in orders. Don't know why there are none. Did I stop by incident? Oh, this is fine. That's still running. I think it just needs some time to fill this.
Yeah.
Maybe in the, there it is. Right. So let me just, Hubert. Right. So there's the remaining order. So remember the original sell order was 50, was 100, and then the buy order was 50. So 50 are still remaining. So let's now just create a second. Let's just create a second buy order. So I switch to this buyer again, the test 2 that bought 50 earlier. And let's say he now wants to buy 70. I'm just not sure whether I still have the, let me just copy paste this again. I need the currency symbol again. I'm not sure it's still my clipboard. Okay, so I Uber token 70. Let's say I make a very generous offer again. I offer 88 ADA. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Through enough zeros, yes. Placing it. Signing it. And now let's switch to this and hope it works. So again, what I said before, must wait until the orders are on the blockchain, and
Was this restarted with that simple config?
I think so, yes.
All right.
I think here I restarted it. I think we must wait for one more iteration. And then hopefully, I mean, I tried this last night and then it worked. But as you know, live demos can always go wrong, but let's see. I just wanted to, I mean, this little strategy, I think that's already, I mean, if there was no other SOR bot, it would already make money, I think. And I just wanted to demonstrate how simple it is to get started. Of course, you can make it arbitrarily complicated. Okay, let's hope that now it finds something. Okay, so here it didn't. Oh, it did actually. Oh, it did. Let me just looking for this trace output. I think I restarted it, but this looks like the old one somehow.
I think there is a trace a bit above in the terminal.
Should have put stars or something. Ah, yeah, yes. No. It should be a.
I see like price information that is not usually there.
Now, hopefully, you can see my screen again. Can you?
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
we can continue.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was almost done anyway. So this is I just as proof basically that the new strategy kicked in. So here's this line that comes from the trace show and just shows the prices. So remember, I offered originally, the seller offered 100 Huber tokens for 100 ADA, so 100 million Loveless. So the price is 1 million for one. So this is rational numbers. So that's the sell order. And the buyer offered to buy 70 tokens for 80 ADA, so 80 million ADA. So the price he offered was 8 million over 7. And the volumes were 50 and 70. So 50 Huberts were still there, but the buyer wanted 70. So that looks good. And I mean, it seems the trade was also done. So maybe what I can do now is go back to Cardano scan. So go back to the address. We started, remember, with 8 transactions. Then this was the first match we did. So then we had 9. So now they're in D10 and some more ADA. And if we look at the transaction, let's see. So the buyer received 50. I mean, he asked for 70, but only 50 were available. But the simple strategy, as simple as it is, did the right thing and basically maxed out the buy order because that was bigger. So it completely filled the sell order. All the remaining 50 were taken. Then this is the seller. He gets, no, sorry, bit confused. So this is definitely the buyer, I think. That must be the seller. Yeah, right. I mean, he asked for 50 originally. Now he received 49. But now it was completely filled, so he should. So I'm a little bit confused because he should have received also the original price. I mean, he should get 100 in total. I'm not sure why he only got 49.
Maybe we can look
No,
at
no,
the
that's
UTXO
the smart
tab.
contract. It's the smart contract, right?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I should look at the UTXO step. That's right. Right, let's see.
Yeah, it was a partial fill because I think it's going back to the smart contract address, or I cannot see
So
that
maybe
clearly.
there's still one left, maybe. I mean, sometimes there are like rounding errors. So let's just sorry, let me just check on in
Yeah,
the
I think it's a complete fill because it's going an output to the fee address, the GMDD at the suffix. The first output, yeah, that's the fee address.
right. Okay. So
So it should
those
be
are the
complete fill, I guess.
yes. Sorry, maybe sorry. I think the problem was just that because I zoomed in so much, I only saw. Right. So this makes it clearer, I think. So these are the fees. So that Genius Hield received 2 ADA and 1 Hubert in fees. Then this is must be the buyer who received. Right. He got. I mean, he originally. No. That's basically the buy. Yeah, that's the buy order. Right. So that's the smart contract. So the smart contract received. Yeah. Sorry. I was confused. I mean, in the buy order, there were originally 80 ADA plus minus fees and 0 Hubert. So now 30 or rather 50 were taken as payment or a bit more. And the remaining are still there. So that's basically to pay for the other 20 Hubert that he wanted to buy. And this is the partial fill. So he wanted 70, but so that's payment for the partial fill. So he got 50. And this is the seller. So he indeed received his 100 ADA that he asked for because now his order is completely filled. And this, I think, is the bot. So he received 5 ADA arbitrage in this case. So I think everything is fine. And that also, I think, completes the demo. So now we can, if we still have time, ask some questions if there are any, Bart.
Thank you, Lars. Yes. So it lasted a bit longer than we planned. So I suggest to answer like 2 or 3 questions live here, and then we'll address all the questions anyway, and we'll publish that either on our social media or maybe in the form of a blog article. We'll see. Not to hold listeners any longer here. One of the questions was if the session is recorded. Obviously it is, and it will be published on our YouTube channel, Genius Hield's official YouTube channel. So please expect this probably tomorrow to be uploaded. Okay, I will just read the questions in order of appearance. First question by Lourdes. Are we required to have a minimum amount of gens tokens to make SOR?
No, I mean, as I said, one of the things we are proud of is that our DEX is completely open and permissionless. So there's nothing like that. Nobody can stop you from doing your SORs. They're completely free, they're open source, and you don't need any license or anything like gens. So everybody can run it and there are no requirements whatsoever. All you need is the thing that the Cardano blockchain expects. And I mean, for example, the Cardano blockchain expects that when you interact with smart contracts, you have collateral. That's why you need these 5 ADA or 3 ADA collateral in the beginning at the bot. But even those you don't lose. I mean, they just sit there. They just need to be there. No, you don't need anything.
Okay, thank you. Moving to the next question by Jeff. What are the hardware requirements to run an SOR?
I get that all the time, that question, and I honestly don't know, but I think not much. I mean, people have run a Cardano node on a Raspberry Pi. And as I just showed you, you don't need to run a Cardano node. I mean, you can. There's this option to run Cardano node with Kupo. That's probably faster. But as I show, I mean, especially if you do it like I did now with one of the providers, Maestro, for example, I don't think it takes. I mean, that's on our to-do list to figure out exact hardware requirements, but I think they are very low because I mean, much lower than for a Cardano node, and the Cardano node can even run on a Raspberry Pi. So I think they are very minimal. Of course, I mean, depending on what strategies you implement, you can do whatever you like, so you can make it. But the version I showed you now out of the box, I think it's very minimal hardware requirements.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one more, a bit more technical. Can we use S key and V key generated with hardware wallets, or only created by Cardano SLE?
That is in principle, you can use a wallet, so you don't have to do it. The only problem is if you use, for example, Eternal, then that's a so-called HD wallet. So it has these master keys that are basically, you have the seed phrase. The seed phrase basically gives you a master signing key, and then there's this derivation mechanism for HD wallets with these derivation paths. How basically I mean, you don't just use one key pair, you basically more or less for every transaction you use a new one, and they are all derived from this original one. So if you know what you're doing, you can also use hardware wallet. You must just find out somehow. Sorry, hardware. I didn't mean hardware. I meant one of those like Eternal. Or you must just know how these derivation paths work. I have gotten that to work once or twice when I needed to, but I always forget how exactly it works. But I mean, there is documentation somewhere. I think Cardano Wallet. So if you just Google that, so in principle, it's possible to not just have a naked key pair like we did here, but to use a wallet. You must just somehow figure out what your key is. But there is a way. For example, in Eternal Wallet, if you go to receive, then your address is displayed, and then there somewhere there on that screen is also the so-called derivation path, how from the master key that specific address was derived. And if you understand what that means, I mean, or Google it somehow, there are tools, I suppose, as well, to given this derivation path and your seed phrase, you can derive the actual secret key that then the bot config would need.
Okay, thank you, Lars, for this. Let me check. Okay, next one is quite lengthy, so maybe we'll answer that later on. Zachary, is there really an incentive to decrease the scan time from 46? This is the question.
I mean, sure. You are competing against other bots, so the faster you find a match, the better. So in principle, I mean, if you could do it every second, it would be even better. I mean, then of course, I mean, if you could do it every second, then of course 19 out of 20 times nothing would happen because you have already reacted, and then you would just not find anything or create transactions that don't do anything. But yeah, I think as fast as possible is better. Of course, there's a limit because the bot also needs time to do its calculations and so on, and to do the scanning. So I suppose there's a sweet spot somewhere. But I would say the faster the better, because the more often the faster you can react to a new situation, the better for you.
Okay, thank you. And maybe the last one, Narayan. Actually, I'm not sure if you'll be able to show that. Can you show me how Docker config actually works? I did test with Docker, and there is always 0.0 orders for TAMP ADA pair. I'm not sure if it is because of Docker or config JSON. Also, if possible, can we use that internal tool? There are two questions.
With the internal tool, that's actually a good question. I mean, we must talk about that, Saurabh, whether it's something like that, because it would be useful, especially for testing bots, right? If you could test token pairs that are not supported by the UI.
Yes.
It's so I don't know. I mean, it's a good question whether something's wrong with the bot or whether it just doesn't work because there are no suitable pairs. I also don't forgot how many token pairs the testnet supports, and do we have SORs running for all those pairs, or are there pairs that don't run SORs? So
I'm not sure about that.
But that's actually a good point. Go ahead.
We have SORs running against all pairs except CRU, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so one like quick tip would be to try the CRU token. And then of course there must be matching orders, like a sell and buy order that actually match. And I mean, of course, like if you look at the code of the SOR, you probably also can figure out how placing electrons. I don't know, but we will. I mean, probably the best answer is that we are going to open source our so-called market maker bots this week, still end of this week, or that's the goal.
Yeah.
And those market maker bots are very similar to SORs. The difference is that they can also place. I mean, they can do everything basically. They can place orders, cancel orders, fill orders. I'm not sure about filling orders actually, but I mean, if you combine a market maker bot with an SOR, you could do everything. And so actually we basically open source in particular an API that you can use to fully interact with our DEX, placing orders, filling orders, canceling orders. And once you have that, then you can of course place orders circumventing our UI for arbitrary token pairs. So then probably the best way to test your SORs is to mint a new token that nobody else is aware of, and then use something like this market maker bot to place orders for that. So that's probably the best way to do it robustly, where you don't have to worry that other SORs that may be running interfere with your own one if you want to test it. We must talk about this tool release, but I mean, maybe we do that actually. I don't really see a good reason why not to accept that. It's embarrassing for me because I wrote the UI and I suck at JavaScript, but anyway, maybe we can do that as well. But I think the quickest way is to wait for this release of the market maker bot and then use that to place orders in a token that the UI doesn't know.
Okay, I think I will read one more last question because this is actually very relevant, I think, for everyone. By Tangle, can a badly implemented strategy lose money running an SOR? That would be the last question for today.
I mean, there may be, I'm not sure what the status is. There was some discussion earlier today on Discord, but maybe there's like a bug in the code. But the idea is that before a transaction is submitted, there's always a check that checks that the transaction won't lose money. I mean, the beautiful thing, one of the things I love most about Cardano blockchain, like technically, is this determinism. So you always know exact. I mean, if you submit the transaction, it can be accepted or it can be rejected. Reason for it being rejected is, for example, if a UTXO you want to spend has been spent by somebody else in the meantime. But in that case, you don't pay anything. But if it succeeds, then you know exactly what the inputs and outputs are. So before you ever submit a transaction, you know what you will get. So it's possible for things like this SOR to look at the transaction that the SOR wants to submit and know beforehand whether that transaction will lose you money or not. So there should be a safeguard in place that before the SOR submits anything, it always checks that you make more ADA than you spend. This gets a bit trickier if you change things and, for example, don't choose ADA as the currency in the token pair, because then, of course, it's difficult to say, right? I mean, is it good if you lose 5 ADA but win 7 gens? I mean, that's sort of, then you need like price information and so on. So I think the safest way is to use ADA as the currency, and then there should be this check. And if there's a bug, then we will fix it. But that's the idea, that no matter, I mean, how horrible your strategy is, you should never lose money. You should never lose ADA or anything else for that matter. But in particular, no ADA. So the answer should be no badly implemented strategy can lose you money.
Okay.
If it can, then there is a bug somewhere, and then because it's open source, I mean, you can raise an issue or you can fix it yourself, or we fix it. I mean, that was always the idea, that SORs can't lose money.
Okay, so if it's otherwise, then
That's a bug, and
yes, it's reported to us, and we'll fix it ASAP. Okay, I just copied all questions that we received. As I mentioned, I think it will be best if we'll just answer it separately on our either Telegram, Discord, or in the form of short, medium blog article. So we make sure that all questions are addressed. Lars, any last words finalizing this session? Maybe Sarah?
I just want to thank everyone for being here, and I hope you learned something and it was helpful. And I just encourage everyone to play with it and come up with your own strategies. I think it's both good for the users of our decks. The more SORs there are, the faster their orders get matched. And I mean, I personally think it's a lot of fun. And as we just discussed, you can't really lose anything doing it. So it's a win-win for everyone. So I hope you will all have a lot of fun and play with it and come up with amazing strategies. So thank you for being here today.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lars, and thank you to all listeners that joined today's session. We appreciate that. If you have any further questions, feel free to share it on our social media, and we'll try to answer these questions as well. So again, thank you, everyone. I think this is also a good opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And thank you, SOR and Valentino, for your support.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.